Investor's Edge with Gary Kaltbaum. Straight talk about you and your money. Now from the BizTalk studios, here is Gary Kaltbaum.
And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I'm Gary Kaltbaum, your host. Thanks for being with us today. Glad you're here, ladies and gentlemen. Happy that you are listening. It's the 5th of December. It's Tuesday, I think. It is 2023, and I must tell you, today was one of those days where I was taken aback. You know what that means, aback? Stunned, depressed, got a dose of reality. I'll explain in a second. But first, if you do not get this radio show in your city, we'll post it at GaryK.com. We'll also post it on our Twitter feed, which is now X. And of course, if you have not followed us, go to X and follow us. Let me tell you what I put up there today. I put up a picture of a missile when I was in Tel Aviv being taken out by the Iron Dome overhead. I posted a picture. I retweeted some of the young men and women that are on Capitol Hill today telling the quote-unquote leaders how scared they are of being in their college as they are being cursed at, called Nazis, threatened. You name it, it's being said to them. I posted that and some of that video. Go check it out. If you do not get this show in your city, as I said, and if you email me, just be nice. Simple as that. Just be nice. And most everybody's nice. That's the good news. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been starting out this show talking about Israel. And the reason is, it's big stuff. But the only thing I want to talk about when it comes to Israel today, A, my experience, but B, what I saw today when I said to you, I was taken aback, frustrated, depressed, because the big dose of reality came in. Today, they had 3 presidents of major gargantuan colleges up on Capitol Hill being questioned. And they were asked simple questions, the easiest of questions. What's 1 + 1? 2. What's 2 + 2? 4. What's 5 + 5? 10. That's how easy the questions were. And yet, these presidents of these colleges, when being asked about their students that go to college to learn, to be safe, to meet new people, to grow, move on their next leg in life, and the hopes of being safe. So they were asked the easiest and simplest of questions, and you know what they were? Robots. Passionless robots. Reading from a script. They were being asked about how students have come to them, to Capitol Hill, to talk about they're scared crapless for their lives. Their lives. They're worried about being murdered. They're being told they should be dead. They should die. They should burn in hell by other students and teachers. Yet these presidents, the presidents, not a second-tier person, not the vice president, not the secretary, the president, the head honcho, top dog, big cheese, go watch the videos. No passion, no care, just a robotic statement that's sitting on a sheet of paper. If I got asked about students and what they're saying, and the protests are on videos, and how some students had to be locked themselves in a library because they were worried about their lives. What's the president supposed to say? What should they say automatically? We hear you. We apologize to them. We're sick over it. We will take full blame for it, and we will do everything we can to make sure this does not continue. They're being told by the congressmen and congresswomen how Jews are walking on campus and the posters of kidnap ripped down or written all over, being called Nazis, and I can't even use the words. These presidents were robots. And for lack of a better word, they said how much they cared. They didn't give a crap. Because I've seen them in the past when it happens to a different group of people. Passionate, pissed off, upset. Nope, not for the Jews. And I have to tell you, if I was a Jewish student there, I'd give them the middle finger and be gone. And be gone. I'd run for election and defund them from any federal funds. I would politic to get these people fired immediately. They are not leaders. They're skanks. They're scum. Imagine how racist these presidents are to go to Capitol Hill and become robots. You gotta watch. I couldn't believe it. They were robots. Go watch the videos on my Twitter feed of these young men and women that just want to... By the way, these are elite schools. This is the big time. I went to University of South Florida. I wasted my college. That's the one thing I regret most in my life. Besides being a Knicks fan. I played on the tennis team. I went to Clearwater Beach. But these are the real deal schools. These young men and women are going to come out of these schools and be great at things. And they're getting screwed. And man, oh man, they're lucky I wasn't on Capitol Hill asking the questions today. Wow. You got Jew haters running colleges. And I'd say it right to their face. I also posted, as I said, when I was in Israel, just letting you know, I know what you guys hear. I see what the people are protesting. Genocide, occupiers. It's all bullcrap. It's a lie. So just letting you know, firsthand, I watched Jews and Christians and Muslims and Sikhs and every race, creed, color, gender live together, work together, play together in harmony. That's what most of it is. And then there are the extremists, and they're the ones that get all the noise. I watched how in Old Jerusalem, where they have all these markets, everybody enjoying themselves, having lunch together, and you hear all these stories. I don't know if you know this, but thousands of Palestinians come from Gaza to go work in Israel. You have zillion Arabs in Israel. They don't tell you that. They tell you it's apartheid. Gays in Israel? Nobody cares. You're good. In Gaza, you're hung. But yet these morons, these racist, bigoted morons are out there protesting and they don't have a clue, or they do have a clue. It makes it even worse. Either or. When I was there, 6 times sirens went off. I have pictures of the Iron Dome in the middle of the day in the blue sky. Being taken, the missiles being taken out, and I posted one on Twitter. I'll post others. When we left, We left on a late flight. After 20 minutes, we turned back. They said it was mechanical. I posted the picture outside my window of the airplane where like 50 to 100 cars with sirens were there. And as I walked out, I looked at the pilot and I said, mechanical. And he gave me that smirk. It was a bomb threat. That's what they're dealing with. And they stopped flights that night. So we stayed over another night. They housed us. Well, that's my music. Up next, we'll put a bow tie on it. And then the markets. They were kind of quiet today. This is the one and only Investor's Edge.
Hi, I'm Gary Kaltbaum, host of the nationally syndicated radio show Investor's Edge. We're not just handsome radio people. We manage investors' money for a living, specializing in fee-based discretionary money management. No big commissions, just a fee on the assets that's managed. We also provide a full range of personalized services, including retirement planning, fixed income, and educational needs, all to assist you in achieving your financial goals. Understanding not all individuals have the same needs, we'll carefully evaluate your personal goals to determine a proper investment strategy. If your current approach to investing is not getting you to where you would like to be, call us to make an appointment for a complimentary portfolio review. The number to call is 888-422-5559. That's 888-422-5559. That's 888-422-5559. Investment advisory services offered through Kaltbaum Capital Management.
It's time to switch on the integrator units and get the brain cells working.
You're listening to
Hey, this promises to be fun.
Investor's Edge
The last bastion of quality programming.
with Gary Kaltbaum.
It doesn't get better than this.
So, as I was saying, they put us in a hotel on the beach in Tel Aviv, and in the morning, the sirens went off. They pushed us into the stairwell. And I'm thinking to myself, I ain't getting the stairwell. If a missile's coming, I want to be able to see it and get the hell out. So I went outside. I ran down. Before we left Israel, the sirens ran off when I was in a restaurant on the beach in Tel Aviv. And all the tourists ran into the shelter. All the Israelis sat at their table eating. So I said, screw it. This is what these people lived under. And you know what Israel did at that time to get back at missiles being lobbed onto their citizens? They didn't do anything. And we talked to Israelis. You know what they said? It happens every now and then. Imagine if that was happening to you. And then imagine when, for whatever reason, their intelligence did not work. Those people that were lobbing missiles got into Israel and murdered 1,200 people, and the things we are hearing, the testimony of the hostages, what was done to these people. I don't even call them Hamas anymore. I don't even call them subhuman. There's no way to even describe people that did what they did. And anybody who backs them up can go screw themselves. You're a terrorist too if you back... I mean, my goodness gracious. And I beg of you, go take the time. It's not going to make you feel good, but check it out. And I bring all this up because it really has everything to do with everything. Our universities. I don't care too much about these idiots pulling down posters. They're just morons. Even the protesters, they're morons. As long as they're not hurting anybody, let them be morons. What are they going to do when they're done protesting? Go home? Turn on Schindler's List and boo Schindler? Let them. But our universities, this is what they're teaching. It be no doubt this is what they're teaching. And it's in many places. And it's good to see. Finally, I think the speaking up is really getting loud now. And I got to tell you, it takes a lot for me to applaud Hillary Clinton and Chuck Schumer for not taking crap from anybody. Little old me, I'm under the radar, but I'm going to keep yelling and screaming about it. And you know what we yell and scream about? No race, no creed, no color, no anybody. I don't care who you are. Should be treated as less. As long as you live within the rule of law, of course. If you're a crook, different story. We're big believers here. Live and let live. We're always amazed anybody's pissed off at anybody. Because they're different. I got news for those people. The different think you're different. Go check out my Twitter feed. We'll put up more pictures too. By the way, just think about it. Middle of the day, no clouds in the sky. We're at the Tel Aviv Carmel Market, this fabulous market. And sirens go off, and you walk out into the parking lot, and you look up, and a missile is above you. And then you see it being taken out by something else, which is the Iron Dome. That's what I saw. That was not a game show. It was not a video game. It was real. And the people of Israel say, oh, yeah, it happens. Think about how you would be living. All right. We digress. Oh, by the way, where the hell is Joe Biden? Where the hell is Joe Biden defending these students? Where the hell is this man? Why isn't he out there as the leader of this country opening up his yapper? What is he afraid of? What's the politics of all this? Is he afraid of losing on one side or the other? As a leader, you're supposed to be for all. You don't want to be like Trump. One side sucks, the other doesn't. You're supposed to be for all. And Biden's like Trump. Let me see the politics of it. Oh, I can't do that because then I'll lose those voters. But if I do that, I'll lose those. Oh, what should I do? How do I do it? This is no time for politics. We do not want to wake up and a student's murdered on campus. And if you look at the vile viciousness of what some of these people look like when they're yelling and screaming at the students, you worry about it. These people are insane. Hey, we segue. We move on. Before we go markets, we're hearing drum beats of Rush going to tour again. They've got a drummer in mind, supposedly top 5 drummer in the world, and they are going to tour. If they do, we'll be emanating the radio show from 20 different cities. because I'll be one of those. Just wanted to let you know that. Getty actually came out and stated, and it was kind of like, stay tuned. So I'm quite excited today. All right. So the indices didn't do much today, but a few things pulled in, and that's okay. You had one of those days where look how I segue into the markets, where the advanced declines did not have a good day, but when you look at it, the things that have been strongest the last week are the things that pulled back. That's not a big deal. And the things that were pulling back the weakest actually bounced today. We'll go through it. And the bond market. Wait till you hear this. I'm Gary. This is the one and only Investor's Edge.
You're listening to
America is talking.
Investor's Edge.
He's got to be pleased with that. The crowd is just on its feet here. He's a Cinderella boy.
With Gary Kaltbaum.
Comes highly recommended. You're going to feel better if you talk to him.
Okay. So, little market wrap. By the way, it's amazing that we have to go from students being terrorized. Hey, but look what these stocks are doing. And by the way, we would like to praise the president. We praised him on his initial reaction. Now, he's a Muppet. And I shouldn't be putting down the Muppets. I loved Oscar the Grouch. Dow down 80, S&P only down 260, NASDAQ up 44, NASDAQ 100 up 38. They had been lagging. Transports down 235. It has been strong. The small and mid caps were down over 1% today. They had the relative strength, so today a little change. The SOX was down 21 and advanced declines, 1326 on New York, 1327 on the NASDAQ. What has me, the 10-year yield down to 4.17. Wow. Down another 1.17, which, by the way, is a huge drop for one day. So let's break it apart. For starters, what areas have we been telling you to avoid? Well, as you know, from July to October, it was like 80% of the market, and that all changed. But since the last few weeks, we've been telling you to avoid oils, except for some pipeline names. Oils got smacked again today. And I will tell you, the amazing part, what's getting hit the most, is the big cap oils. They're getting trounced. They're getting trounced. So we show the oils to our peeps every night, and the reason is, A, it's for us and for them. But we want to remember to show you, hey, we identified this topping while everything else is bottoming, and we want to remember what it looks like. Why? Because when things top again, we're going to know it again because we got a good eye. What else have we been telling you to avoid? A bunch of the Chinese ADRs. They're just stocks that trade here. And guess what continues to get whacked? Chinese ADRs. The FXI, which is an ETF called the FTSE China 50 Index, it is a new yearly low. Now, there's still a few China names in shape. But guess what happens to the ones that are in shape if it worsens? Symbol EDU was down 6.5% today. Has been strong. That's the name that dropped 90% because of the government. But NTES just broke down. Alibaba, Terrible, Baidu, bunch of others. So there's two areas. And of course, there are a bunch of other things. But as a whole, the floor has lifted up, and we'll be gauging very closely the good, the bad, the ugly, the pretenders as we move forward. But for today, little flip-flop. Small and mid, weak. Big, better. But small and mid look pretty darn good and have been doing those stair steps up. I wouldn't mind if they sit around for a couple of weeks, of course, as long as they keep going up. Bitcoin, Ethereum. So let me give you a little warning, but also the reality. They've been strong as all heck. Man, oh man. Real strong. No argument. And if you look at MSTR, that is basically a Bitcoin fund. And of course, you also had some of these stocks that have to do with the coins moving up. Here's my advice. Just a little advice. And this is somebody that doesn't own them. We have this other little gauge. And it's not a specific gauge. It's what we call the Gary feel. How does Gary feel? And the Gary feel only matters when the feel gets to extremes. So we're just letting you know it's not pinpoint. It's not pinpoint. But we're noticing today people who have not been in jumping all over each other, yelping and yelling and screaming, Bitcoin this, Ethereum that, this and that. Now they are. And typically, that comes late in a move. We're not talking about long term, we're talking near term. So just a little word to the wise, and it should be a normal word if you just go look of how much these things have moved. It would be normal for them to settle down, pull back, do nothing, come down, scare the crap out of the bulls, that type of stuff. So just letting you know. Gold. The GLD is the exchange traded fund for the price of gold. PHYS is another one. Had a beautiful move on Friday. The word fail is a big word, but so far it really has failed that move. I still think gold looks okay, and we're going to let you know if it decides to, okay, it was just whatever, and gets going again. Because if gold breaks above the all-time highs and sticks, gotta think there's going to be some darn good gains out of it. But right now, backing up pretty good. And I would tell you this. After Friday, I didn't buy any, but I was thinking it was ready to go. But the dollar, putting a little low, started rallying. The dollar goes up, gold's going to come down a little bit. I still think it looks fine. The gold miners, there are a few that look really strong, a bunch not so strong. Very mixed bag in the miners. But leave no doubt. Pretty good. And of course, there are other the auto dealers do not act very well. A mixed bag in. I can go through some names in the transports that look like crap or topping out, but others that look good. So there's a lot of mixed bag, and we know that because there's still not a ton of new yearly highs. There's not a ton of leadership, even though there is. We've been talking about the software and things like that. What we don't want to see is more 2-to-1 negative days on advanced declines. So my stuff screen today was pretty much beat red. Financials, which have been coming up. Economically sensitive, which have been coming up. insurance, which has been coming up, the transports, which have been coming up, the retail, which has been coming up, the commodities, which have been coming up. Pullback mode starting today. We'll see how long that lasts. But back on the oils, dang, that be bear market. And maybe that's good news because oil prices coming down, that don't hurt anybody. So not the biggest, and let me finish off on this part with Apple. Apple edged above a little range today. Volume did pick up a little bit. When you have a chance, go take a look. It bottomed with everything else, rallied up, did nothing for 2 to 3 weeks. And there was some news out of China today. Foxconn, that does a lot of the supply and whatever over in China, said that maybe business is not as bad or better than they expected. And I guess they would know. And that helps the NASDAQ. In case you don't know, Apple, $15.6 billion of market cap on every dollar move. And of course is a huge influence on the NASDAQ 100, NASDAQ, and even the S&P. And of course it's in the Dow 30, but not the biggest of influence because it's $193. United Health is $550. But up there. So Apple, Nvidia, very talked about stock, bounced off the 50-day moving average today. First time hit as of recent, bounces a little bit today. Volume light, but very good move. Up next, I got a few more things in my bag. I'm Gary. This is the one and only Investor's Edge.
You're listening to...
What are we waiting for?
Well, what are you waiting for? 1, 2, ready, go.
Action!
Investor's Edge with Gary Kaltbaum.
And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. So, Nvidia bounces off the 50-day. Tesla kind of sort of was up 10 today, finished only up 3 and change. Needs to break the downtrend. It has not. Microsoft bounce, important name. Needs a little work in here. Amazon was much better early, still up in range. I sold my Amazon a couple of days ago. Or was it yesterday? And it's up a couple of bucks since I sold. I'll get back in if it breaks above. And we don't usually tell you what we do because we can change our mind 3 hours later. We're very careful about the guidance here. Costco breaks above the 600. Big number. Let's see if it sticks. But just a lot of red today. A lot of red. And tomorrow's another day. In the news, a little warning. So as you know, Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk, they have these weight loss drugs. And they're selling like crazy. Wegovy and Ozempic and whatever else. A Swiss drug maker named Roche just spent $2.7 billion of a California-based biotech, Carmot Therapeutics. It gives Roche access to 2 obesity drug candidates. In other words, they're in phase 2 trial. I got a feeling there's going to be a big run for the roses on these drugs. AstraZeneca just paid $185 million for global development rights for an experimental drug. Lilly was the second to gain approval for a weight loss drug. When there's many selling the same thing, prices come down and each and every one sells less. You got that? And who knows what's going to work. I know Pfizer just got rid of a oral candidate because of serious side effects. And AstraZeneca, I think, also suspended a phase 1 trial of an oral, one that you don't have to inject. So just letting you know, something to think about. We're always thinking about how easy it is for somebody to take over somebody's business or do better than somebody's business. In the news. So, just so you know, the United Nations had their 28th Climate Change Conference. In case you don't know, you had a massive snowstorm in Germany, so a lot of the private jets were stuck there. Pretty funny. I don't know the exact count, but it was also held in Dubai, which I love. What a great place. What a great place. What is Dubai known for? That's number one. So kind of ironic. Number two, the president of the event, Sultan Al Jaber, who's an Emirati official and serves as a special envoy, came out and said, wait a minute, all this talk is, he didn't use the words BS, I will. But he said all this talk is BS about the oil and fossil fuels. And he said, what, do you want to put people back in caves? Well, what I'm told, there was like 800 private jets, including Al Gore, who was on one. And if you used your car, one of those jets flying once, if you used one car for your whole lifetime, you get my point? Kamala Harris was there also. She went on a separate jet than John Kerry. You mean she could not go on the same jet with John Kerry? No. So we're just letting you know, as usual, they're laughing at us. They're shooting the middle finger at us. They're getting rich off of this. It's a scam. It's a hoax. Not that the climate changes. Of course the climate changes. But it's a hoax. They started with global cooling. Go look. Go look at the front page of magazines from years ago. Global cooling. And if you didn't believe them then, you are a anti-whatever. And it got hot, so they changed it to global warming. And then we had a couple of years where there was blizzards around the globe, so they had to change that too because they look like idiots. And they came up with climate change, and that's the big scam because they're trying to say they're never wrong. And we're just letting you know they're a bunch of con artists. It's all about the money. It's all about your wallet. We're $2 trillion in deficit this year, $380 billion. Biden gave to his buddy, John Podesta, a Democratic hack to dole out. And you know he's going to be doling it out to? Buddies, donors, lobbyists, compatriots. Just a footnote. So we're just letting you know the scam is on. We cannot control the weather. We can do something about pollution. Guess what we already do? Companies have been going green. People are buying electric cars, though it's going to take a long while because people don't like being forced to. And there's a lot being done already. They're making the whole thing up. And they're getting... Al Gore's worth a couple $100 million off the green. Just remember, 17 years ago, he did a movie and said we had 10 years. 17 years ago. Now, do you think any journalist will ask Al Gore this question? 17 years ago said we're doomed in 10 years. Can you explain yourself, sir? Do you think anybody would ask that logical question? Bueller? That's my take. And don't get me started on that little girl or whatever her name is, Greta or whatever, because it's turned out she's an anti-Semitic Jew hater also. These leftist Marxists, they all have the same candy coating on them. You'll have a great evening. Drive carefully. When you get home, do like we do. Quite simple. Make sure you hug your family. Make sure you hug your children. They will feel better. You will feel better. I promise. Same time tomorrow, everybody. Hope you have a good evening. Good night.
This has been Investor's Edge with Gary Kaltbaum on BizTalk. To listen to past episodes or to get in contact with Gary, go to GaryK.com. That's GaryK.com.